So up next is Jessica Goldstrohm. Jessica is the owner and head educator at the Bees Waggle, a small business with a mission to ignite change through education, beginning with the story of the incredible world of bees and returning to individual action people can take. She's been invited to speak at large groups, visits dozens of classrooms K through 12 every year, and has written curriculum for several organizations to build public engagement surrounding conservation. She holds a master's in biomedical sciences and a bachelor's in news editing, both of which has put to good work on her entrepreneurial path. Everyone, please welcome Jessica and Charlie. I think he's coming back too. There he is.
Jessica, how are you? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hey. Good. How are you doing?
Good, my old school homie. What's up?
Lots, and all at the same time. Not a lot has changed, but it's all good stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to get into this chat. I think this is so important. Everything that you're doing, everything that we've done together, people could be doing right now at home. And I want you to school people hard right now, like really, like baseball bat them to the face with that.
No violence here. So yeah, I mean, it all began with bees 5 years ago, and it really was built on passion, which is counter to what the previous speaker was talking about, but really that's where it all began for me. And everything that I do is geared toward education, and through education, inspiring people to change their actions, to advocate for things that they normally wouldn't, like stinging insects. Bees are terrifying to most people. And it's simply because they don't understand why they're there in the first place and their behaviors. And this goes into any kind of animal. You know, we talk about wolves, it's the same thing. Not understanding the behavior of that animal makes us scared of them. So my mission in life is to light the world up with enlightenment and education. And then hopefully all the change that I'm hoping will happen all of a sudden starts cascading in all different directions. So on the topic of bees, what I do with the Bees Waggle is I go to schools, I go to large groups, and I talk about native bees. Everybody is really familiar with honeybees. Most people know about bumblebees, and bumblebees are one of our native bees, but most people don't know about the 20,000 different species of bees that live on our planet. Yes, 20,000 bees. And most of them are solitary bees. So they're living and nesting alone, either underground or inside of dead cane, rose bushes, things like that, or in man-made structures such as this, which of course I'm going to show you. It's the observation bee house that I have on my website, which is so much fun for people because you get to see the bees, which also builds that relationship and that empathy for this stinging insect, which is absolutely nothing to fear. In fact, we should fear a world without the bees. If we don't have bees, there's a lot of foods we don't get. There's a lot of plants that won't reproduce because they don't have the bees to pollinate them and form seeds. So is there anything that you want to guide me with? Because I can go on for
We've gone on for hours and hours with this. I love it.
As you know.
So let's do this. Let's go low level. Okay, let's go low lying fruit. Most people think bees make honey. All right, so let's hit some low lying fruit that explain to them just briefly about what these native bees are and how we can incorporate this into our garden. And prior to that, I just want to say Jessica was the first to come out with this observation house. It's so cool. You actually watch the bees pupate and you watch them just turn into the larvae and cocoons, and you watch the whole process of life of a pollinator. So I think it's amazing. One of the greatest educational pieces of a product that exists. So Jessica, take it away.
Yeah. So touching on what you can do and why, I guess first I want to say why you should care in the first place. You know, I can take it from this angle. Do you like to spend hours on the weekend maintaining a lawn? I mean, most of us are annoyed by that. Most of us are annoyed that we have to keep it perfect because the guy across the street is going to call the HOA because there's a dandelion in the middle of my lawn. So instead, what I've done is I've removed the lawn completely. I have a small strip of lawn through my front yard to walk on. That's all the purpose that it serves. And otherwise, it's all a mix of native plants. It's all a mix of flowering plants that flower from spring to summer to fall. And all of it began with a mission to feed pollinators and, of course, bees. And it became a platform for me to take photos every day. So it's been wonderful that way. But now it's evolved into more because there's a world beneath the ground that needs to be fed. And that's where carbon farming comes in to the front yard garden. That's where we can contribute to climate change reduction. We can help to rebuild that connection between the atmosphere and what's below through plants. So if we have deep root systems in our front yards, you have a deep rhizosphere, which, and this is all technical terminology, but just imagine feeding a whole world underground with roots. That's where it all begins. And then if you're feeding the soil underground, you don't need chemicals because everything becomes healthier over time. As you let nature take hold and regain control, you don't have to do anything. In fact, you can just go out in your front yard, kick back, have a beer, and enjoy the scenery because you get to get your vitamin nature in every day, right? In your front yard. You don't have to go anywhere for that. It's brilliant. And you could also be pulling down carbon in your front yard. So there's this whole world that most people really just don't know about. And I'm about to plug a book. The Soil Gave Us by Kirsten Olsen is brilliant. And if you haven't read it, you've got to read it because it breaks everything down to a simple level that you can understand and apply. Why would we flip our? Because there's 40 million acres of grass, and turf grass does little to no good for both the soil and the life above the ground. So you're not feeding pollinators because there are no flowers, maybe a dandelion, but that's not grass. And then you're not feeding birds or other wildlife. You're not providing a shelter of any kind, which is essential in the way that wildlife reproduces and maintains. They need a place to traverse the landscape. So if your only yard that has habitat and the next habitat is maybe 10 miles away, pollinators are going to get stuck in that one small plot, which then results in less and less DNA pool, which results in more and more probability of them failing. So if we have more yards where they can fly and mate with other gene pools, then we're increasing the diversity of genetic material out there, and they're able to survive more diseases because it doesn't impact all of these yards. It maybe hits the one. So it's really important in encouraging diversity to have these front yards flipped from grass into native scapes. And if you want conservation, what about water conservation? It doesn't take hardly any water to have native plants in your yard. Turf grass sucks thousands and millions of gallons, depending on who's watering it. And it requires a lot of chemical use. So you're using pesticides of all kinds, herbicides, and a lot of people are obsessed with insecticides, which we need insects. If you like birds, if you like songbirds in your yard, don't kill insects because that's their food source. Nature is brilliant in the way that it's all interconnected. And bees, for me, has jump-started my education in this realm. And what also made me discover what I'm really good at, which is going and educating about this stuff. So,
Jessica,
I feel like I just keep rambling.
Jessica, that was a grand slam to someone's face. You just crushed it. You just crushed it. I hope all of you really, really listen to what Jessica just said, because she annihilated it, and everything she spoke was absolute factual scientific proof. Okay. We have to let nature be nature. Diversify. Diversity is key in our front, and get rid of those front yards. What the hell's the front yard? All right. It's not about the curb appeal. You can make a beautiful curb appeal. Jessica teaches you how to make curb appeal. So Jessica, you crushed it with people.
Yes.
Yes. So, all right, let's go.
If
let's
you
go
want to
deep.
see my front yard, you can see it. You can see my front yard on the beeswaggle.com blog. The yard is beautiful no matter what season. Fall, it looks really beautiful with all the browns. Everything's starting to die back. I have not removed any dead plant material, and I have watched birds continuously feed on the seeds that are on top of all those dead flowers. Really important to think about this, because birds are looking for resources, and because we're obsessed with this perfect green carpet out front and out back, they don't have any place to eat and to nest and to take shelter. So it's really important for us to think about that, and then sell your lawnmower because you don't need it anymore.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. You're not using gas. Well, geez, I mean, let's just talk about this. And then you start mixing in food. All of a sudden, you have regenerative farming happening in your front yard, right? Yeah, I love what I do. I love what everything stands for in terms of trying to be more eco-friendly, trying to help our planet, because this is the best planet in the universe. I'm sorry, but I don't see Mars as a replacement.
Yeah. Jessica, this is why I love working with you. It's the passion and the drive and the impact. So tell me this. Tell me, what would you like to see in 5 years? 5 years from now, what would you like to see, especially now that we're in this big brink of history change right now? You know, with this whole pandemic, a global shutdown never happened in human history. Okay, we're in a transition. So what would you like to see change and become the future in 5 years?
Well, you know, it's real simple. Get your shovel out and start digging the grass out. Replace it with habitat. And I mean, that's really one of the biggest impacts we can have. And The Soil Will Save Us, that book explains, but in numbers, how crucial it is. Not only, I mean, I take it into my yard because that's where I am. And that's where many of you are. You're in your yards, or maybe you live in an apartment building and you've got like a small plot of grass. Push for them to change it to a food garden or a native habitat. Because who the hell wants to look at grass all day? I want to see birds. I want to see bees. I want to see butterflies. I don't want to see just grass, you know? And that's actually going to make the biggest impact at this point, is to get out there and recreate habitat, restore it, and make things more friendly for nature, and in essence, more friendly for us. We all need that vitamin N, nature. And this whole shutdown is so crucial to take full advantage of that. Go outside. Just go outside. Screw staying inside, moping around. Get outside. Garden, pull out the grass and just start planting seeds. And who cares? You know, I mean, it's free for all anyway right now, right?
Exactly.
Go crazy planting and take full advantage of this time.
100%. So 5 years from now, you're hoping to see every single front yard transformed.
All native, yes. Just flip one front yard at a time. Go, you know, I mean, even if hey, listen, if you're like, I can't do my whole yard, that's just crazy. I know I am a bit crazy. I go all in or nothing. I'm like, it is not going to slow down for me, but I get it. Some people want to take it one step at a time. Even a 10 by 10 plot makes a big difference. Even a pot makes a big difference because it's food in an otherwise very desert area. So any amount of flowers, any amount of habitat is going to make an impact.
I love it.
So in 5 years, that's what I want want to see. I want to see my block turn into that, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And I want to see regenerative farming as the main topic for farmers. Like, let's pull carbon down into the soil again. Let's do this right. Let's take care of our planet.
That's it. You're 100% right. And if we let nature, no, really, I mean, if we let nature just do its thing, I mean, look at what's already happening now with this mitigation of commute. The air is getting cleaner just for a few weeks. It's amazing. Let nature do its thing.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, we have a question for you here.
Yep.
And the question came in from Robin Long. Yes, I live on a standard suburban 60 by 100 plot, and I have houses without freaking out my neighbors. I love this. I've gotten this question a million times. Jessica, kill it.
Absolutely. Yes. So these bees are not like honeybees. They don't swarm, or there's not these bee lines that are happening like the honeybees. Honeybee colonies live in like upwards of 50,000 bees in one hive. So people are going to notice that. But this is only a handful of rows, and each one contains roughly 13 cocoons. So, and usually one bee will fill 2 rows. So essentially you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly 5 bees nesting in this house. So you can easily do this, and it's cute, and it becomes a platform for education. And then people are like, that's so cute. I want that too. Oh, those bees are so cute. I didn't know they were black and blue, and oh my God. So yes, you can, absolutely, without freaking out your neighbors. Again, mason bees, they're completely like docile, they're chill. You'll see in the photos that I take, I'm like right up next to the house, and they're doing nothing but doing what they do, which is pollinate, collect pollen and nectar, feed their babies, and then they die, and it's all a cycle for next year again. If you really are interested in this topic, I have tons of articles on the blog, and I mean, I give 45-minute talks about this. So it's a lot to squish in to just 20 minutes, especially when I want to talk about regenerative gardening as well as bees, because all of it goes together.
We're going to be.
Right. I can go on.
Where can I buy it? Go to
Where can you
Waggle.
On the website.
Beeswaggle.com. Jenny Davis, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I work with Jenny, so this is so cool. Merging worlds.
Nice.
So Jessica, what we have here is if you were to leave anyone with a last minute statement of, give them a call to action. Here's another baseball bat to people's faces. All right. Let's give them a call to action, and we're going to hold people accountable. And by the way, with all those articles that you have, we're going to be posting a whole bunch in the KusH magazine. Let's populate this with really good content, but give them a call to action. I'm going to reach out to these people. I want to see if they did what you're going to now ask for them to do. So low-lying fruit, but call to action.
Yeah, I would love to hear too. I would love to hear when people are doing it, because like I said, not everybody's comfortable with doing the whole shebang, and that's fine. It doesn't work unless you take it in the increments that you're comfortable in doing them. So you honor where you are and do things according to that. Now, here's my call to action. Get rid of all the chemicals right now.
Yes. Ditch
them, shelve them, don't look at them again, ever. We don't need to use them, period. And like I said, if you read The Soil Will Save Us, you will see how little we need these things. It is so bad for us, so bad for the environment, so bad for wildlife. Ditch the chemicals. Number 2, consider planting native plants that are native to your region for spring, summer, and fall blooms. You need all 3 seasons because bees and other pollinators are flying in all 3 seasons. Native, because they are really good at living in your region. You don't want to take a cactus and put it in Maine. It's just not going to be as happy there. And you don't want to bring a moisture acidic loving plant into Colorado because it's not going to like our soil. So get familiar with your soil. Is it acidic? Is it basic? How do you amend it? What are you dealing with? And those are the first two. So plant native for spring, summer, and fall. Ditch the chemicals. All pesticides, all fertilizers do no good unless it's compost tea. Okay? Or if you want to compost and you want to throw compost down, that's brilliant because you're especially worm composting. Worm composting feeds the soil right off the bat. You can just take it from the bin, throw it down, and it feeds the soil. And then there's leachate, which is liquid gold for plants. So if you want to feed and you've got this whole thing, you're like, I need something to pour on my plants. Consider taking up worm composting. It's easy. You can do it inside. It doesn't stink, contrary to some beliefs. It never stinks. I have 3 big bins going in my house, and my house doesn't smell like dirt or gross stuff, and actually I like the smell of soil. But anyway, so ditch the chemicals. And if you want something to feed your plants with, consider composting. 2, plant native and go for all 3 seasons. 3, please refrain from removing leaves and dead plant material. Here's why. Leaves and dead plant material, when they're laying down on the soil, they feed the world beneath while everything else is dormant.
Yes.
So it nourishes the soil and it brings all of those nutrients back through the roots up to the plant when it wakes up, because everything is working together to break it back down into a fully functioning ecosystem. So leave the dead stuff. It's going to be fine. Refrain. Tie yourself up if you have to. Okay. People are obsessed with removing the imperfections, and that is the beauty of nature. The dimension you see outside when you see like dead bee balm is really tall compared to the dead. I can't even think of all the names of the things I have. I have over 60 different species of plants in my front yard. So,
Jessica,
those are the 3 main things.
You hear that?
I think
listen to it.
You are.
Mark it. Okay. Jessica, I want to thank you so much for joining. I want a round 2 interview with you. I'm going to keep you posted in the next coming weeks. We're going to be doing these weekly with longer interviews with one at a time, not a big 8-hour giant event. Earth Day event, though, we had to go in hard. So, Jessica, thank you so much. I hope everyone here, I bet you schooled everyone here.
Thank you.
And we'll keep you posted, and we're going to segment this out. Probably more here. KusH Wear, Sustainable You with Jessica.